everybody, it's Maureen again, and we're going to do a video today on the 9 ways to stop addiction to alcohol and drugs instantaneously. So the first one is to admit to yourself that you might be in too deep. So that can be a huge one for people, and it might be sort of the number one thing. A lot of people that are actively addictive, they have a denial. They don't want to go there with their family. They don't want to talk about it with other people. There's a lot of guilt. There's a lot of shame. And there could be a lot of denial. So realizing it that you really do, or you might have a problem with alcohol or drugs, and that you might be in too deep and you might not be able to do it by yourself, that might be the number one issue right there. Also, this honesty for your life circumstances. So really being honest where you are right now in your life and what's going on. So looking at your career, looking at your family relationships, looking at your love relationships if you have any, seeing what's sort of going on. You know, a lot of people in active addiction, they're just like spiraling into the abyss and their whole life is falling apart. There can be legal problems, there can be relationship problems, there can be health problems like with their liver or with other body organs that they're struggling with. There can be career problems. So really being honest with yourself and admitting to yourself that you might be in too deep. That's number one. So number 2 is look at your situation. So what is really going on in your life? So when you're looking at your love life and your relationships and your career, and if you have any legal problems, what's going on? Like, are these things completely taking over your existence? Are they really going downhill and you feel like you're just never going to be able to overcome them? And this is what's sort of making the addiction worse and worse and worse. Like you're just drinking more and you're drinking more and you're drinking more just so you don't have to think about it. So really looking at your situation and what's going on. A lot of times there's underlying conditions, and underlying conditions can be health conditions, they can be relationship conditions, they can be biological conditions like ADHD, anxiety, depression, things like that. There might be underlying conditions that have not been addressed. So just trying to figure out what's really going on in my life, looking at your situation, that kind of thing. So number 3 is commit to doing something positive about your life and yourself. So that can be really simple. So a lot of times when we're in active addiction, we just keep doing negative thing after negative thing after negative thing. So we need to flip that around to make that instantaneous change. So instead of doing something negative, we have to therefore do something positive. So what is the next best thing to do? So it could be going to see a counselor. It could be going to see your family doctor. It could be getting a referral to, a specialist or a rehab center or a psychiatrist or, a day program, something like that. It could be anything like that. So just commit to doing something positive. It could be talking to a close friend or family member. Make sure if you do talk to a family member, that person isn't going to freak out at you, because sometimes the last people that you want to share this kind of thing with are your family members. So just make sure that you pick the right person and just commit to doing something positive. So the next thing is ask for help. So many times people in active addiction, they don't want to ask for help. They just feel too shamed. And why can't I do this myself? Like, I'm a grown adult. I've, done all these things in my life. And the one thing that I can't do is stop taking this drug or drink or whatever it is. Or this behavior. If it's gambling or sex addiction or whatever it is. And so that might be selecting the best person to ask for help. And that could be, like I said before, going to the family doctor. It could be going online and searching rehab centers. It could be, they have intensive daycare programs now where people can go, where it's completely confidential, and they can go get treatment, but they can still go into work at least part of the day, right? They can do a half day treatment, that kind of thing. There's also NA and AA, the support groups from Alcoholics Anonymous. They can be really good, and they're extremely accessible to the public. It could be, and also when you're asking for help, really figuring out, do I have an opiate addiction? Do I have a physical dependence? Because sometimes when we're doing drugs or alcohol, we end up getting a physical dependence, and coming off the drink or the drug could be extremely complicated, and it could be very, very hazardous to your health, i.e. you might get really sick, or you could even die. So please, if you're going to come off opiates or alcohol, or any drug for that matter, I would seek medical attention. For opiates, definitely, if it's a really heavy addiction, you might be considering Suboxone or methadone replacement therapy. It doesn't have to be a life sentence. It can be, for a certain amount of time. You might want to do 1 to 2 years of opiate replacement and then wean off. But that is extremely beneficial to help subside all of the withdrawal symptoms, physical withdrawal symptoms. For alcohol, people that stop taking alcohol, especially if they're like really drinking quite heavily, they can have very, very severe seizures, and having a seizure in an inopportune spot could be fatal, right? They could fall, they could literally fall off a cliff or whatever it is and hurt themselves. So really considering medical monitoring when you're coming off what the drugs are when you're asking for help. So that's something really, really important I wanted to clarify. So having a backup plan, that's number 5. Number 5, having a backup plan. So figuring out what I'm going to do if this doesn't pan out. And that might be getting rid of all my contacts in my phone. Some people like to hang on to those contacts just for a rainy day, but not that they're ever going to use them, but they just want to have them there just in case. And that's kind of like a backup plan for using again. So really considering getting rid of all your contacts in your phone, getting rid of, any kind of, if they're a next door neighbor or whatever. Could be even moving. Some people have to relocate, whether it's just across the city or across the town, or some people like literally relocate to a different province. So it depends on what's good for you, but and that might be part of your backup plan. So really figuring out what the situation that you're dealing with is. So number 6, and this one might sound a little funny, but it's self-compassion, self-love. So one of the things that you can instantaneously do is change your view of yourself. And instead of always beating yourself down and feeling guilty and shameful about what's happening, it's to really start to cultivate that self-love. So and that means having your own back, making sure that you are your own best friend, that you are going to be able to have your own back, and want more for yourself. Really want a future for yourself, one that is bright, which is happy, which is fulfilling, which you're doing what your passion is, just something that is really, really important and shows yourself that this is what I am, this is who I am, and this is what I'm here to do on this earth, is to help people or whatever it might be, or to do this creative endeavor, or to cultivate relationships with other people, that kind of thing, or provide a service. Some people provide services. So this whole self-love is to figure out, What am I doing? Realize that you are the one that has to make the changes in your life, and to really put in all the things that will help you do that. It's all part of self-love. And this might be increasing your self-care. So what you put in your mouth, all the food that you put in your mouth is nutritious. You get to bed at a decent hour. You're exercising your body. You're doing things that are compassionate towards yourself. So that's number 6. Number 7 is positive self-talk. So that whole negative self-talk where we spiral into, just horrible way of thinking about ourselves and shaming ourselves. We just end up believing it, and it's not true. So we have to just literally stop it, instantaneously stop the negative self-talk. If you catch yourself doing it, stop it and literally start programming positive self-talk into your brain. So one way to do that is positive affirmations. Whether you just listen to them, you can listen to them on YouTube, or you can have them just on your phone, or you can write them down. There's lots of ways you can do it. Just search positive affirmations, and you don't even have to really listen. Just have it playing in the background, and your whole subconscious mind will pick it up. So that's something that you can start doing, and it will help instantaneously to help reprogram the mind. And your potential is limitless, and you can do this. You really can do this. You can stop taking drugs. You can stop drinking. This is something that is attainable. And so just getting that into your whole thinking system is really, really powerful. So number 8 is realize that rock bottom is a starting point. So a lot of people talk about rock bottom, and I've had 3 rock bottoms or 8 rock bottoms, and I just keep going back. Well, when you hit rock bottom, when you're in the worst time of your life, this is a time of transformation and change. When we're in rock bottom, it just means that we're in this area of a new birth. And so that's a good thing. It just means that now is the time that I can work towards making something else new and positive in my life. So embrace your rock bottom. Realize that it's not a bad thing, and that this is the only way that change takes place. We have to understand what the darkness is before we can appreciate the light. And it's just that simple. And so I know that being in rock bottom is horrible. I've been there myself many times, and I wouldn't wish it on anybody, but at the same time, I do wish it on people, because that's where growth and transformation and change happens. We have to, as human beings, we have to walk through that negative stuff in order to get to the light. So just realizing that when you're in this dark time, this is the best time for change and transformation. And the last thing, number 9, is realizing that you're not alone. There are so many people out there that have walked these steps and been in this whole mindset of addiction and addictive behavior, and not being able to stop drinking or taking drugs or whatever the behavior is. And you are not alone. So many times we can say into ourselves that we feel like we're alone, and it's not true. We are never, ever alone. We're a click away from a support group. There's AA, NA. Just ask for help. Ask for help, and realize that once you ask for help and you start opening up to that you will see that you are not alone. There are so many people, and I can tell you, I've been there myself. I've been in active addiction and thought that I would never get out. I used to look out the window, seeing people walking on the streets and saying, my God, I just want to be normal like those people again. And I can tell you that you're not alone. I've been there, and I understand what you're going through. And I wish you all the best in asking for help and making those changes in your life. Because if I can do it, anybody can do it. And I really, really believe that. So please, don't think that no one cares. There's so many support groups and everything out there. And if you need help, just please reach out. You are not alone. So those are the 9 ways to instantaneously stop an addiction in its tracks. And thank you for watching this channel, and I hope to see you again soon. Take care.